Welcome, everybody. This is the SIG Contribex Mentoring Subproject meeting. It is Friday, February 28th. I am Marky. I am one of the people working on this project. We have a lot of people online. Just before we get started, I want to let everybody know that we do have a code of conduct, which amounts to just to be nice to everyone. I am going to lazy link the doc again in the Zoom chat. You'll see a section for February 28th mentoring. I will ask if we can get a note taker. And this is also sort of like the first, this is a bi-weekly meeting now. It was a monthly meeting. So I'm going to sort of botch a lot of the presentation of this up, so bear with me. And if I can get a note taker, that would be awesome. Paris has entered in a lot of topics, so that is super cool.
I'll take some notes, but I wouldn't mind having a second note taker.
Yeah, I'll help with that.
Thank you. Without further ado, I am going to jump right in. At the end of the stand-up, we'll give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. I will see. Now, I know Ihor is not here. That is something, I'm going to actually add a topic up here.
I think Ihor actually said he couldn't make these meetings at all.
That is
he will
correct.
give us updates in the bi-weekly normal Contribex meeting.
And he's also asked if we would reconsider, as well as Nikita has asked if we would reconsider doing this at a different time. It's pretty late for them. I did put out a doodle. I could put out another doodle if everybody wants.
Can't we just look at the old doodle and look at what Eeyore and Nikita picked and then base it off? I mean, because I feel like the thing is, like, Nikita and Eeyore are the sub-project owners here with me as well. And so, like, if we're not here, like, we can't approve the stuff.
Right. So
I think that's kind of where all this scheduling fiasco stuff has been is like most of us, and I think all three of us are like super early morning people as well. So we might want to just revisit the old doodle or the last doodle and pick a time that's like earlier than 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Pacific.
As I'm looking at the doodle, they didn't put anything on there.
Yeah. So I think it probably had to do then with the dates and times of the availability on the doodle. So maybe I would say now we should just punt the responsibility back to them. I would say, I mean, I can take the AI too and work with them and figure that out.
I can do it.
Okay.
So I will get that figured out between them. I'll meet with them on like Monday, early morning, their time, and to see what would be a good time. And then I'll get something out to the community that sort of goes and says, hey, we're going to move it to this time so we can make it more EMEA friendly. And moving right along, let's see. Ihor had the Google Summer of Code as well as the Community Bridge updates. We don't have any updates on that. We will, I know I've seen some PRs going through, so I'll punt that. And then I'll come to Paris, meet the contributor.
Not many updates other than, what's next month? January, February, March. It's March. So yeah, no, other than we're ready to go for March's edition. Still have yet to put a doodle out to KDev to figure out either a new time or a second time. And if there is a second time, then pick a new host. And I've got quite a few people that have said that depends on the time, but they would help. But nothing else. Still grinding the gears.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that update, Paris. And I do believe you have the next one, which is outreachy.
I missed the deadline. I think we need someone else on outreachy as well. So if there's other folks on the line that want to be an outreachy coordinator, please let me know and we can sign you up for the project. What the outreachy coordinator does is just work with outreachy, which is a third-party service that provides paid internships to folks from underrepresented backgrounds, and it's awesome. And we have one right now, Visha, who is working on the contributor site and dev guide stuff. But we did miss the deadline for the next semester, so we do not have an outreachy intern for then. So if we want to definitely do the next one, which is in the technically winter, quote, quote, we should definitely figure that out. I've got the marketing team helping with a calendar of sort of events and alerts. So this is actually going to be one of them. So we'll start keeping a calendar of like reminders and things instead of like our own personal calendars. So that'll be better, I think, for the project as well.
For the notes, what is the deadline to actually have the opportunities put together for next term?
Hold on, I think it's, let's see, September.
Do you just want to drop a link if they have one?
Yeah.
Also, as far as like another outreachy like person, if you want, you can just toss me on there.
Okay.
Outreachy coordinator.
You need to sign up on the site. So
oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, Paris, would it make sense to have more than one person doing that or not?
I mean, technically Josh and Nikita are too.
Oh, okay.
We just all three aren't great. Honestly.
Like the three busiest people I know, right?
Oversubscribed.
We are three extremely oversubscribed people at this point. Yeah, that's why I'm so excited. 9 people on this call right now. Like I want.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I'm an admin is that I already had an outreachy account from a previous project.
Right.
I would love to have someone else take that over from me.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not hard. It's just a lot of back and forth. It's like a typical things that you would expect from a coordinator. So like, somebody being a glue, making sure a thing goes off. And yeah, not good at that, especially when I was on leave. So, Bob, I added the outreachy site there. Bob, it's, we can talk offline, but you'll go through the process on there to be a coordinator. And then on the back end, they'll ping Nikita and Josh and myself and say, hey, do you know this person? Kind of thing. And that's when we say, yes, cool.
Okay. I have created an account.
Awesome. And then you'll start getting emails from Sage and or other folks at Outreachy that like are just like either the reminder emails or the whatever emails about the program. And then what we do is we just make sure that we CC everyone when we talk to them so that everybody's on the same page. Let's see what else about Outreachy. That's pretty much it, I think, for Outreachy. I feel like as long as we have the contributor site, by the way, this is something I've said to Bob, but I'll say to the other 9 of you. 8 technically, because I'm counting myself. Now that we have the contributor site, I think that we always have an outreachy project. I feel like web development, web upkeep, web design, stuff like that is just like the never-ending story of internet projects. So always think about that even when I'm not here and stuff like that. So it's just one example of a thing that's like you can always constantly have. That's all I got for outreachy.
All righty. Thank you very much, Paris. The next one is yours as well, KubeCon mentoring.
Yep. And I think Tim and I are also definite. As Tim, and I say Tim as in Pepper, I apologize. And Tim and I are really looking for folks to help us out with this as well. We're going to do it this time, but for future, we're looking for coordinators to help us with the on-site pod mentoring. Like we call it pod kind of internally, but externally we call it like group mentoring, where 3 people pair up instead of 2. 1, because we don't usually have enough mentors, but 3, but 2, it actually works out really well of like more of a conversational thing, with 3 people for 3 times for 20 minutes. So that's on site at KubeCons. We're doing one in Amsterdam. We just talked to the event coordinator yesterday with CNCF about the rooms. We have 2 rooms. Oh, not 2 rooms, 2 times. But the one time is a very, not odd time, but it's butted up against some other talks. So we either might reduce it to 1 for Amsterdam or just run with it. We're not sure yet. But we are going full steam ahead for Amsterdam. So, and help wanted, and we'll put an issue together too for a help wanted issue for coordinators for future events. Make that like a role, if you will.
Okay, those are extremely exciting things. I think those are really cool in San Diego and Seattle. Group mentoring, you as well, Paris.
I have 0 updates here, so I mean, unless anybody wants to discuss stuff, but I've got nothing.
Yeah, I've done a few updates. I'm still working on a couple issues to get with mainly I'm starting with the release team and seeing how they do their shadowing process and see how we can sort of use that same modeling for other SIGs. There is an open issue. Unfortunately, don't have it right at the top of my head what that is, but it is on the mentoring sub-project board.
Cool. Yeah, I think for this, I think the release teams is pretty structured. I'm thinking group mentoring as far as unstructured as well too.
Okay.
Both are very important, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I thought the main goal of group mentoring was to actually move people towards reviewer or owner.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, that is. That's what I was envisioning anyway. Yeah. That's why it's like more unstructured, meaning like release team, you have tasks and rule books, and I consider that structured group mentoring. Unstructured, I consider you have this ambiguous goal at the end. Go get it.
Well, I wonder if the problem is that we actually need to make it more structured. Because the goal actually isn't ambiguous, right? The goal is we want 50% of this group of people to become reviewers, or we want 50%.
I mean, it is structured, Josh. I'm saying like they have check-in points. It's structured in that regard. It's not structured from a sense of the release team where you have a role book. Mm-hmm. Like that's structured. Like you have a role, you have job duties. Like an approver generally doesn't have like a role other than moving the project forward, saying no, and hoping you have a vision. Like I can't really come up with a role book for that. So that's what I mean by structured versus unstructured group mentoring. I explained that in the docs too. So we tried to, and history lesson, me, Phil Whitrock, Ken Owens, and quite a few other people when we first started this adventure, like decided to do you can actually see from the version history of that doc. But we decided to do a extremely structured version of this where like they had training sessions every week, and it was more like the OpenStack Upstream Institute, but online. And it was so over-engineered and extensive that we never got anything done. So like we definitely tried, I think, the like over-engineered version of this and didn't have much success. I mean, and then I also think that like digitizing the new contributor workshop would also help in that regard as well if we're looking for something a little bit more structured, like training and things like that.
We've had several. I think some of it's been on this call, the previous mentoring call, but like with boxing it up and possibly offering like a digital version, like recording it and sort of producing it.
I think that goes right into our next issue as well, which is where did we go? I lost my place. Is the new contributor workshop linking to the mentoring subproject in the repo, which I don't. Who's here? Bob, are you working on the new contributor workshop for Amsterdam? I haven't been involved in any of that.
Not so much. Mostly just like helping, like if Alice needs help or answering questions or things like that.
Okay. I think I can take this as an action item.
So what I was thinking here, Marky, is like, I don't know, do we have a README for the new contributor workshop?
No, I think it's all just like a slide deck.
That's what I mean. Like I'm thinking like a README in this folder or something along those lines, like in the program section, just a basic README, and then it collects all of the links from like the past NCWs. You can actually like maybe see the growth via README, right? And kind of like explains at a very high level what it is, what the goals are. Do we have that? I don't think
we do.
I feel like that would be hella awesome. So that's kind of what I was envisioning there for like on the README for the mentoring. Cause like I'm thinking once we get like, if we do, eventually call this from, from a contributor site perspective, this is just like a canonical link of everything that we've got from a process and program perspective, right? So like at a high level, like what are these things, like when people click on them? So it'd be cool if people could see like, oh, what is the new contributor workshop? I mean, it might not link them immediately to, the newest, but maybe on the README, then the new contributor workshop lead could always make sure that like on the READMEs and stuff that like the latest reg was always there or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can take this action item.
Yeah, just like a home for the new contributor workshop essentially. And I know like Josh and Gwen and stuff, like they have stuff in the events team folder.
Yeah,
but that's like more process related, right? And like the how to and the why and stuff like that. But I think like a nice high level summary would be super dope.
Yep, I can get that. Anything else? That's all we have on our agenda. Actually, there is something else. If anybody, as far as open action items, if anybody doesn't have anything else, would like to go through and do introductions. I do see a few people that are new here. If anybody would like to go through.
Since this is a new time slot, why don't we all introduce ourselves?
Good call.
I'm Josh Burkus. I worked on the release team shadowing program for a long time. And being delighted this particular release cycle with not being involved in it at all, which is what I call a victory condition. Yeah. And I haven't been on this meeting because the previous time slot conflicted with a standing work meeting.
I can go next. My name is Marky Jackson. I am also part of the release team as well as Contribex, and that's who I am.
Hey, I'm Chris Short. I'm on SIG Contribex, and I've been around the block a few times at open source communities, and that's why I'm here.
I'm Bob Killen, or Mr. Bobby Tables, in like Slack, GitHub, everything. I am one of the current chairs for the Contributor Experience SIG. I'm also on the release team and sort of involved in a lot of little places all over the place.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, I'm Evil Socket. You can find me on GitHub and Slack. I'm from India and want to contribute in Kubernetes project. That's why I'm here.
Welcome.
Yes.
Anyone else?
I'm Paris.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Oh, nope. I want somebody else to go first. I'm sorry. I thought everybody was done. You go first.
Uh,
whoever it was.
Okay. Hi, this is Rajinder. Hello, is this audible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from India. I'm new to Kubernetes. I just want to understand how contributing is going on in Kubernetes. That's why I'm in this meeting.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, Paris, you can go ahead. That's from my side.
Welcome, Rajendra. How are you? Sorry about that. I didn't mean it.
No,
Come
no
on.
issue.
Did
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a software engineer in Infosys, but I'm a DevOps consultant as well. Currently working in some technologies. I just want to understand Kubernetes, how the things are going on and how it is working.
yeah. Well, this is the human aspect to that. That's for sure. The human side to those who make the control plane, as I say. Thanks for joining us. My name's Paris. I used to co-chair Contribex, the SIG, for about 2 years. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm just a helper bee, and I'm on the steering committee and do some things with CNCF now. That's me.
Welcome. Anyone else? Okay. Well, if does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns for open mic Q&A?
I have one more thing that I did forget. I added a shadow role page to the programs list in the mentoring folder. I added it to the agenda. This is just it's pretty much a tombstone / placeholder / parking lot right now. The idea of this page is to list, again, in like a high level listicle way, all of the shadow role programs that we have within the project. So for instance, we have the API review team. You can see I listed them all in one big line, like AP review, contributor summit, triage team, marketing team, SIG docs blog team, all of these teams that have role books. And it would be cool when we're talking to new contributors and stuff, when they say, like, what are your onboarding programs? Like, these are 9 of them, right? This is like what I always tell people when people are like, oh, Kubernetes doesn't have any onboarding programs. Like, it's like, yeah, we actually have 9 of them, at least. So we just don't have a high level place to point that. We just have been pointing them to like individual things, like, oh, here's the release team page, here's the API review committee page, that kind of thing. So it would be cool just to like list them all and things like that. So if anybody out there is looking for PRs and things, or want to partner with me on this, reach out.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All righty. Well, if nobody has anything else, I got
Convenient mute there.
Hi, dogs.
I want to get one of those George foot pedal things to mute myself.
Muting between
awesome.
barks. That'd be great.
It was just like we saw your mouth moving. We knew exactly what you were saying too. It was the way.
I'm like, get the dog.
Reddit has a subreddit perfectly timed screams. I think we need perfectly timed barks.
Yeah.
I need to get something like that. I do apologize about the background noise. If nobody has anything else, I would like to end this.
Hi, Jackson. I have one question.
Yes, please.
Actually, as a newbie for to contributing to Kubernetes, from where I need to start?
So the first thing that you would do, we have a page that shows you, how to go about the contributor ladder, such as getting your CLA, starting to look at getting PRs, and then eventually, once you have enough PRs and you've done enough, you then apply for org membership. What I will do is, if you would like, if you want to ping me in Slack off directly, I'll start to link you to those documents. I'll also put them in the notes here.
I just dropped the contributor guide.
You're so
also yeah.
So that will show you how to, the link that's in the Zoom will show you that's the way you get started. And then what you might want to do is try going to a couple different of the SIG meetings to see like where your interest may be. What I first did when I started is I went to every single meeting because I wanted to see. Yeah, I know, right? I wanted to see like where my interest would be. And I found that it was better to get in Contribex first and then start to branch out to the more like technical sides. But if you ever have a question, you can always ask us in this the Contribex Slack channel. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, please, by all means, do feel free to ping me. I do like that if people ask in the Contribex channel, because there may be somebody that has the exact same question as you. So don't be afraid that anybody's going to, say something or, we're all pretty nice.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So out of curiosity, I'm asking, what is your, see, as you said, I first attended some SIG meetings and I try to get, which is your interest, right? Which one is your interest?
I personally, not only in the Contribex, which I find extremely interesting, I'm also part of the release team. So knowing like how all the releases come together, and as Paris was stating, there's a lot of roles on that team. So you have the ability to, for every release, which is done quarterly, you have the ability to shadow on the team and be a part of it, and then hopefully maybe become a lead on the release team. So that's super exciting, at least for me, to get sort of insight into how KEPs are done and enhancement proposals and things like that. I found that super interesting, and that's where I sort of directed myself to.
But sometimes there's already something that you have an interest in, either because you work on it on your job, or because it's something that you've been intensely personally interested in. So sometimes it's better to start from a different area. Like if you've really been into CLIs, or TLIs, right? Text user interfaces, then the kube control would be the place for you to start. For me, into databases, I started with storage because that was the place for me to start. So it really depends on where you're coming.
In the community repo itself, every SIG has README, which has like a brief description of sort of what they do and what areas of like the code base, essentially what their responsibilities are. So that might give you a like sort of little TLDR overview, and if anything piques your interest, start attending those.
Okay, got it. So first of all, what you guys are saying is first identify what is your interest, then contributing to it, right?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you guys. Thanks for help.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, really appreciate
that's the first. That's the first step, right? Just getting to understand who the people are in the community and participating.
Okay.
As Paris just said, showing up. That's the first step.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns? All righty. Well, that's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a great Friday, evening, day, wherever your time zone may find you. Cheers, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for hosting, Marky.